a big topic and forefront on everybody's mind is the market outlook for 2023. So got some information here from JP Morgan on the 2023 market outlook, and they certainly are saying that the global economy is projected to expand, but just at a slow pace in 2023. So financial conditions are certainly tightening. Winter's going to aggravate China's COVID policy, which is going to have an impact. Europe certainly struggling with the natural gas problems that persist. They're saying the global economy is not an imminent risk in sliding into recession, so that's really great news for all of us. But sharp decline in inflation is going to help promote growth, and the view assumes the U.S. recession is likely before the end of 2023. So I definitely have some opportunities that are evaluating right now and saying, hey, this is definitely, the decision really hinges on how the economy looks by the end of Q1 and Q2. S&P 500 is expected to really revisit some of those lows in 2022, but hopefully we could pivot with a little help from the Fed to help some of our asset recovery later in the year. So hopefully we'll be pushing the S&P up to 4,200 by year end. So we've got kind of some not so anyway, market outlook for the year, we're cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's not terrible, right?
Yeah,
I said earlier, exactly. If we can at least kind of match the last couple of years, I think we're good and we're poised to, really take off again when the economy kind of turns around. It's funny that I have to laugh with the recession thing because now they just changed the definition. So I thought we were in a recession before, but now they calculate it differently. So, so far so good. But how can technology help? Like obviously none of us have control really directly over the volatility of the market or any of that. But one of the things that I can think of how technology can help in situations like this, that's also going to help you for the future, is really working on your processes, finding efficiencies, really looking at what you're doing now. Like I said before, if you're having to make orders in a system where your availability is a binder, 3 Excel spreadsheets, and an Access database. I take that from my history. Yeah, at one point the availability we had was in between a binder and some spreadsheets and an Access database. And think of how hard that is to put in orders. Think of all the different things around your company, because if the orders are put in a system like that where you're having for the grades of the plants and everything to put notes everywhere and all that, think of how much harder it is outside. That cascades through the whole company, right? You really need access to information to make informed decisions. And so if you're still trying to produce in spreadsheets and the availability's somewhat updated in in that spreadsheet, and you're using QuickBooks or something to enter the orders, there's always that disconnect. I can remember taking 3 days to get back to somebody about whether or not something was available. And I think in this day and age, and especially with the technology and what customers are used to, you're gonna lose customers over that. Really more important than ever to understand your costs and margins. Do you have a system that can really capture that information? And also, is it easy enough to keep up and get that information in there? How is your availability? Do you need to know really what's long, what's short, cash flow, prioritizing paying bills? Modern systems can really help really organize and prioritize these things, workflows and that, to really tighten things up and really stop the bleeding. And that's really in so many of our processes throughout the whole supply chain internally. A lot of people are diversifying their suppliers. Sometimes you don't have any choice over that. I was reading a nice article about Walmart really is sourcing so much. They're trying to source from the United States first, so they're actually paying higher fees, but to get it because of everything that happened in the supply chain. We're all suffering from that.
I have seen some of our clients do that too, especially like even with ceramics, instead of going overseas looking for diverse supplies, locally, more local than overseas.
Yeah, and so much of the cuttings come from offshore. I know a lot of companies that are starting to have some stock on site again. That was really, something of the past. It's kind of a money pit, but if you have that reserve stock to take cuttings off of, to where, if there's supply chain issues or COVID things or whatever, you're not completely beholden to all of these offshore companies. And it also improves collaboration and cooperation. It's the, I think the better experience, like I said, your workers have, that's going to spread out to your customers.
And I think the other thing on the costs and margins, I've had clients say, look, when I go to my customers and want to take a price hike, I need the tools and the information from my systems to show them my rising costs to really justify. I think
Right,
people
yeah.
need that more with the retailers, but having the tools to really show insight into your margins so you can help drive some of those pricing changes that you may need.